matter to us. Join the conversation. This is The Front Bench.
This is The Front Bench. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for keeping it UBC TV. Our topic tonight, mobility and dignity, but our focus is going to be so much onto Uganda Airlines, Uganda Civil Aviation Authority, what has been done, what needs to be done, where are the challenges, what is there for Ugandans to appreciate. But of course, you will be sending in your questions and comments on our WhatsApp number and be part of the show. It is very important, and feedback will be really so nice for us. First things first, PS, thank you so much for honoring our invitation. Ugandans want really to know what is there for them when it comes to transport and works. PS, over to you.
Thank you very much, moderator. Good evening, viewers. It's a pleasure to be here. I take this opportunity, first of all, to thank my colleague, the Permanent Secretary for ICT and National Guidance, who has arranged for us this program. We are happy to be here to tell you what is going on in the transport sector. The Ministry of Works and Transport looks after 4 models of transport. That is the land, which is the roads, which takes the lion's share of the transport. We have the railway, which has not been doing very well. But of course, as you are aware, we are repairing the meter gauge. And also we are about to start at real construction of the standard gauge railway. And then we have water transport, which is very convenient for cargo and cheap, but we have not developed it so much. Then we have the air transport, and the air transport is run by 2 arms. We have the regulator, the Uganda Civil Aviation Authority, whose DG, the Director General, is here with me. And then we have our young airline, newly revived. As you may be aware, around 2001, our airline was closed, and we almost took 20 years without an airline, without a flag carrier. So until when government took a decision, and we started our young airline, which has now been running for the last 5 years. We have 5 aircraft plus 2 wide body, so that constitute our fleet, which is still quite small, but we are trying to move on. And the government has promised to give us money to get more aircraft. Then the Civil Aviation Authority, this is the body which regulates aviation industry, and it is headed by the gentleman with me here. So, moderator, I think I would like to give opportunity to my technical people to throw more light on this air transport. Okay, Director General, let me cue you in at this very point. The PS has talked about how you lead and you head a very, very vital sector that Ugandans really must appreciate. Paint for us a picture. How is Uganda Civil Aviation? How is it like for now? There is a layman who doesn't really understand what you people do. Over to you, DG.
Thank you very much, moderator. Thank you very much, my PS. Uganda Civil Aviation Authority is charged with the responsibility to manage the whole aviation subsector in the country. Aviation subsector is one of the subsectors of transport sector, as the PS has just said. And as of now, it is a regulator of all matters related to aviation in the country. And when I say matters related to aviation, I'm talking about airlines, I'm talking about aviation training institutions, I'm talking about aviation maintenance organizations, I'm talking about all airports. At this point in time, it is also still the operator of airports. I'm also talking about regulating air navigation service provision. Air navigation service provision. And of course, is also charged with promoting aviation in the whole country, wherever, whichever endeavor, in whichever activity of aviation. So it is a big, big subsector that we deal with all the aviation industry. And of course, we work very closely with operators, but main importantly with our Ministry of Works and Transport.
Having understood part of your core mandates, DG, let's talk about the growing demand for services as passengers increase. What are some of the measures that you have in place to ensure that aviation infrastructure at Entebbe International Airport really matches that growing demand?
Thank you very much for asking me that question. You are aware that there is tremendous modernization and expansion activities going on at Entebbe International Airport. Not just Entebbe, by the way, even the other airports of country. You know of Kabare Airport coming in, and this is done between us and the ministry, our ministry. We also have other regional airports. But let me concentrate on Entebbe, because the one you have asked. You know, the buildings and infrastructure at Entebbe was for a long time actually not having any improvements and developments until about 4 years ago, when the first improvement we did was to improve on the current terminal building, modernizing the departure and arrival areas, which we opened in 2024, if you remember, and was opened to the public. The public appreciated that piece of innovation, piece of expansion that we did. You are also aware that we've been working on an extension of the terminal building, 20,000 square meters of terminal. The current one is 30,000 square meters, but we have added another 20,000 square meters. I did forget to tell you that when we opened that departure and arrival hall, we also opened other facilities inside. We expanded the current counters, check-in counters, from 22 to 20. We also put another, we made them 22. They were like 12. In the new terminal building, in the expanded terminal building, we have added on another 24 check-in counters, together with immigration counters. We have also put another 14 self-check-in counters in the current one. We will be opening first phase within 1 month. We are going to use it short time. We've added in 3 other aero bridges. Aero bridges are those bridges that connect the terminal building to the aircraft, adding to the 2 have been having to make them 5. Earlier on, as you know, we worked on the runways. We received runways. This is one we call runway 1735 and 1230. There are 2 pieces, 2 runways. We received them and made them modern. You also know that we also completed the cargo center, 100,000 metric tons of cargo center, state of the art, in fact, the first of its kind in this region. It is also there at Entebbe International Airport. And we continue to work as our funds allow. That is as far as the infrastructure at Entebbe International Airport. But I would be glad if you also ask me about
that question is coming.
Country.
That question is coming about upcountry. Actually, that will be the other issue we shall look at. Rahim, the DG has talked about part of the things that are being done to expand Entebbe International Airport. We are talking about 6 years, really, since Uganda Airlines took to the skies. How do you rate the performance and the growth of the Uganda Airlines?
Thank you very much for that question. When you look at Uganda Airlines now in its sixth year of operation. We are looking at so many things, and we are celebrating so many things. First of all, we look at its growth trajectory. We look at how we are contributing to traffic, which is currently now 23.4% of Entebbe International Airport. We are looking at how cargo is growing with a market share of 9.5%. We are also looking at how our revenues are growing at 58%. We're also looking at how we are supporting the ecosystem in the aviation industry, but also airline industry. We also look at how we are supporting different businesses in the country. But also, most importantly, what have we done in terms of cargo, breathing life into cargo? For example, right now, the London route, because we're talking about 17 routes that we've opened up right now. The London route, we are exporting bananas, we're exporting fish, we're exporting pineapples, and also trying to bring in imports. For example, Mumbai, light pharma, light machinery, but also garments industry. But then also we're looking at how we are managing also our costs so that we can, at the end of the day, break even. But then when you look at the airport right now in terms of expansion, at some point we thought now we are growing and the airport needs to support the airline to grow. For example, if we are looking at opening other routes in the market, in other emerging markets, how will they be able to, how will the airport be able to sustain and support the customer experience? Then when I also go back to how we are growing right now, we are operating 25 flights a day. 25 flights a day. So that is a huge operation for Uganda Airlines because we are the biggest right now operating in and out of Entebbe. So that means that we even have 12% contribution of transfer passengers coming into Entebbe. So that means that we are due for our own terminal as an airline. We are also due to expand our ground operations, to be able to handle other airlines. We are also right now due for our own hangar to be able to maintain our own aircraft. So with those and other additional other services, we'll be able to grow the operation, but also to manage within our centers of because when you look at how we are operating right now, we're operating thinly. We have only a fleet of 6, so sometimes we are constrained with disruptions. But as we move forward to a 10-year strategy that is in place right now, we're trying to finalize our 10-year strategy. We'll be able to look at how we can expand our fleet, be able to serve our guests better, but also working with the CAA to be able to see how we can also manage our guests at the airport and also expand at the airport.
PS, looking at what the DG has talked about, what Rahim has also talked about, there seems to be really great works done at the airport. How is the ministry really balancing investment between road, railway, there is also water, but now also air transport? PS.
Yeah, thank you very much. Of course, we have had a lot of emphasis on the road infrastructure because this is what serves the ordinary citizen and is the main method of transportation. 90% of our cargo, our goods, and the passengers are traveling on the roads. So we have had a bias on that one because of its nature. However, of recent, we are now putting good emphasis on rail transport. Rail transport is the cheap means of transporting goods mainly, and also passengers. It is cheaper. So we are undertaking to repair the meter gauge. As I talk now, we have fully refurbished the line from Kampala up to Mukono, and we did emergency repair from Mukono up to Malava, so the train can move from Kampala up to Malava. Currently, we have also undertaking repair of the railway line from Tororo to Gulu. We have already taken over a section from Tororo to Kumi, and we hope by April next year we shall be in Gulu. Okay. We are really targeting Gulu so much because we have a logistics hub there, which we want to connect to the railway, so that people from South Sudan and Congo, Eastern Congo, can pick their goods from Gulu instead of traveling to spoil our roads. Then water transport, of course, this one we have not given it a lot of emphasis, but with the support from private sector, we have encouraged the private people to invest in water transport, so that it is not only government, but as a government we are having some 2 vessels which are plying Port Bell Mwanza. We have also secured funds to improve safety on water. We have put up 9 rescue centers. We have put up other facilities which will enable people to call and they get help when they are in a state of danger on water. So on air transport, of course, we have shifted those emphasis on it since we acquired the 6 planes in one go. And if you could remember, the president said it categorically. He said these planes, we bought it with our own money and the cash. We do not borrow, we do not do what? So as I talk now, we have made a proposal that we get another set of aircraft so that we strengthen our fleet like Shakira said it. We would like to serve people better, but because of the limited fleet, sometimes it is strenuous, and that one we regret the inconvenience it causes our people. But otherwise, we try to balance with reason. We are trying to balance water, rail, road, and the air.
DG, you've heard from the PS, you're not forgotten. A lot is being done, a lot has been put in so far. But after understanding that Uganda Airlines has really become our national pride when it comes to connectivity, how better are you willing to ensure that we upgrade from where we are, but of course putting in mind that a lot has been done and we must appreciate. You did talk about the expansion bits that you're doing at the airport, but now we also have these up-country airfields.
First of all, the expansion that you see in our facilities, especially in Entebbe International Airport, are mainly targeting a national airline. That is a fact. Many other airlines, but principally the national airline. I want to give you an example. When we were working on the runways, we also worked on aprons. The aprons are parking areas of the aircrafts. When we completed 9 parking apron, 9 slots, Uganda came with 6 new aircrafts, took away the 6, and we remained with our new 3. When we are expanding these facilities, we put Uganda Airlines into consideration about their lounges, about their new routes. For instance, recently, on being allowed to enter into UK, we had to give it a dedicated gate. Dedicated. Recently, we also shifted some of our internal facilities, like in the airline lounge, Karibuni. We are creating a transit lounge for transit passengers, so that those who stay longer, you have seen other airports, passengers who stay longer in airports have different furniture, if you recall, where they can at least sleep a bit or lean a bit, not this hard furniture that you see for passengers that move quickly. So there is every preparation within the funds, within the means we have. And she has said it. Actually, the biggest operator currently at Entebbe International Airport is Uganda Airlines. It has something like 20% of the share of the passengers. So it is, we are trying to cope, and it is doing well. You talked about upcountry aerodromes. It also happens that actually the people who come through Entebbe International Airport, the majority who use our internal aerodromes are also those who come through Entebbe. I want to mention to Ugandans and challenge them actually that up to now we are not using our airports, especially domestic airports, as well as foreigners are doing. People who come through Entebbe International Airport, the majority of them are tourists. And tourism attraction centers are not in Kampala or Entebbe. They are up country. And if you realize, our aerodromes are always targeting these tourist attractions and administrative centers. Name them. Look at Kasese, look at Kisoro, look at Pakuba International Park, look at two airports in Karamoja, one in Moroto and another one in Kotido. All of them are mainly adjacent to tourism centers, and we've been working on them. We were able to receive Kisoro Airport recently. Actually, the aerodrome is looking as good as very new. We have been working on Arua. We finished the terminal building. We are working on the runway, expanding it beyond. I think we are expanding it to something like 2.5 kilometers of runway. We've been buying land around there so that we make it another international airport, because that's where we are heading. The ministry has helped us, is working on the feasibility studies for funding of selected airports. Those include Kasese, include Arua, include Kotido, they include Guru, and another one, Pakuba, in the national park. So we've been working. Of course, if funds would allow, these things would be done at once. But we've been doing them very well. Like this, we have another aerodrome in Soroti, a training aerodrome where our pilots actually train. That one we are able to facilitate it with portable ground lighting. Very, very expensive facility. On top, of course, of expanding its coverage, its land coverage. And all these are being done with the aim of expanding them and making them international airports of the future. Of course, those we are being helped by governments through our ministry. There is some funding that they give, though not adequate, but that the funding is there, especially of maintenance. So we are doing quite a lot.
DG, at that very point, talking about maintenance, do you have the compliance measures, of course, putting in mind the international standards in relation to safety and security, as you also work on these other upcountry airfields?
Obviously, the civil aviation all over the world works on strict compliance with standards and recommended practices. Short of that, you are not even allowed to operate at all. And we've done a lot in that area, because that is the basis for which aviation, people put confidence in aviation. It is not, aviation if left on its own without strict compliance, could be a very, very, very risky mode of transport. So we don't leave any chance to any guessing or anything that would make actually us have many incidents and accidents. So we approach on revamping our compliance with standards. And the measure for that is always, because ICAO, the global regulator, always comes up with audits, always. And we were recently audited both in safety and security, because there are two auditable areas, the safety of aviation, but also security of aviation. And we scored in all 8 auditable areas. I wish we had time, I would go through them. We scored 72.4% score. That is by far above the regional average of 55% and the global average of 67%. And because of that, the confidence in the aviation industry, in the Uganda aviation industry, is so high, and that's why you see many airlines concluding bilateral air service agreements with us. It is safer to do business in our space, in our airspace. It is safer to do business in our airports. It is safer to do business with our airlines because of that safety score. We also had an audit of security. Security, in broader terms, in aviation is avoidance of unlawful interference in the works of aviation, with aviation users, both in the airports, but also in aircrafts and anywhere in aviation facilities. And we scored 81.6% in that very area of security. Again, with renewed confidence in our security systems, in the way we oversight the industry, in as far as both security and safety are concerned. But of course, even as we do that, we don't forget the sustainability of the industry. Prudent use of resources to make sure that we invest what we get on a cost recovery basis. What we get from aviation, we return it to be able to continuously improve the facilities, also improve the technology to rhyme with international technologies in cyber security, in so many other things. That's what we do almost on an everyday basis.
Thank you. Rahim, as we go for a break, how ready is the airline, both operationally and financially, to take advantage of the new opportunities that are there for us?
The airline right now, in its readiness, for example, if I can take you back a little bit, how we've stabilized fares in terms of fares available to a traveler today. For example, if I can remind you of when you were traveling 10 years ago, for example, to a 40 minutes route or flight, it would go up to $800. But right now we've stabilized that price. Then also the opportunities also that are available for Ugandans in terms of supplying the airline, because 90% is locally sourced, what we are using on board. We are employing 90% Ugandans. Now, going back to your point that the opportunities that are available for the airline, we are looking at emerging routes. For example, China. When we get fleet, we'll be looking at routes like China. And those are cargo-ready routes. We are looking at points in Central Africa, Northern Africa, Southern Africa, and the Horn of Africa to be able to, and also West Africa, because remember, last year we also created an air bridge into West Africa. So you'll find that we'll be able to tap into those opportunities that those routes can bring. But how are we doing this? Every time we open a route, we host business people, we host tour and travel agents, we host Chamber of Commerce in either way from Uganda or that country. We hold business forums so that we can connect these parties together. But then also other opportunities. We want to partner with different airlines in terms of interlines and code share. Recently, we partnered with Air India so that we can be able to provide other solutions beyond the point where we fly. But also other opportunities. We are looking at how we can create a pipeline for skill. When you look at right now the aviation industry or airline industry, pilots are retiring. We are short of engineers, baseline, line maintenance, avionics engineers. So we want to create a pipeline for this skill through upskilling, cross-skilling, multi-skilling, and we're thinking that partnering with schools like Sorority Flying School, investing in such schools will create that pipeline for next generation aviators. But then also other opportunities are in how now we need to future-proof the airline or de-risk it, that it can be withstand the shocks of tomorrow by undertaking different projects. For example, if we put our energies into supporting our approved maintenance organization to build a hangar, to be able to maintain other carrier aircraft, to build a boutique hotel, to manage our disruption, and also earn money from it, to have a catering unit so that we do not spend much money. Also, institutionalizing our ARTO, approved training organization, so that we can also save money that we are spending in training. Also, if we can tap into more into charters, develop our charter division, and that only that can happen also when we are recapitalized by government, so that we have enough capex or capital to be able to invest. We want to open domestic operations, because you see, it does not make sense to track a tourist for 9 hours who's going to Kisoro or Mugahinga or Kidepo. They need to fly in as international travelers, then we transfer them to these tourist sites. And also the case in point is that we are looking at Kabale Airport that is soon to be commissioned. We're also looking at opportunities into oil sector, because when that airport is up and running, we'll be positioning our cargo belly capacity for cargo, for oil cargo. So those are some of the opportunities that, among others, and the routes that we want to open, that we are looking at as an airline.
All right, ladies and gentlemen,
Yes.
the front bench continues, but of course not forgetting that we are live on all our 11 radio stations. So if you can't really watch us live on your TV or on your YouTube channel or on our X platform, you can at least tune in to our 11 radio stations and follow the conversation live. For now, we'll go for a short commercial break. Don't go away.
This is the front bench.
Set to transport to the wrong person. Here's how to reverse it with MTN Mobile Money. Dial *165#. Select My Account. Select Initiate Reversal. You will see your last 3 transactions. Select the transaction you want to reverse. Enter your mobile money PIN, and you'll get an SMS confirmation that the transaction has been blocked from being withdrawn. And that's it. Please note, only transactions that haven't been withdrawn can be reversed.
I don't settle for the surface. I go deeper. At UBC News Tonight, we unpack the story behind the story. We don't chase for views. We pursue facts. The election, the economy, the promises made, and those kept. We ask, we check, we verify. Because the truth should never be a mystery.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archive stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, every story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
These elections matter, and so does how you hear about them. That's why I'm here every night on UBC News Tonight to give you the whole picture and not just the headlines. We report with context, with care, and with commitment, because you deserve the truth. Calmly delivered, clearly explained.
This is the front bench.
This is the front bench, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Those who are sending in your questions and comments, we appreciate. DG, I think this goes to you. Alele Daniel from Lira is asking, what plan do Civil Aviation Authority have for the construction of an airport in Lira City? Thanks for the show.
Thank you very much for that question. We have concluded actually titling of the land that we have been having for a long time in Lira City at Anai, at a place called Anai. And of course it has some challenges still, because there were already people who had already entered. But once we conclude it and we title it very well, and we want to thank the Lira District Administration, the Land Board, the District Land Board, because they helped a lot. The current area MP and all those people really helped a lot to get us this land. And we are beginning to plan, alongside other national plans, first of all making a civil aviation master plan for the area as we start on our feasibility for building an airport in that very place. Because that's the reason why we secured that land.
Okay.
Yes.
Someone is also asking, I've not seen sign language interpreters at the airports. What plans do you have to cater for persons with hearing impairments who are travelers?
That is being done now that we have really expanded. Not only that, but there are even other languages that we want to introduce within our passenger handling staff. About, for instance, Chinese language. We are getting many Chinese now, and people, some of them don't even speak English. So we are trying to organize and have all these facilities, these assistants really introduced in the airport. And we'll be doing that very, very, very soon.
Okay.
Yes.
DG, before I move to the PSTL, let's talk about how Civil Aviation Authority is positioning itself in the international aviation landscape, of course, to derive meaningful benefits for the country.
Yes, as I have just told you, that our compliance scores alone are a statement in the world. That one I can tell you that once we score those, then they are flashed all over the member states of ICAO and the whole world. Airlines, air navigation service providers, handling companies and all that. That is number one. But we are also moving, we moved recently with our minister. You saw us in Montreal, Canada, where we were voted on the ICAO Council. ICAO Council is the highest decision-making executive body for the ICAO, for the whole world. It is responsible for developing standards and recommended practices. So we are not just watching on people making standards. We participate in making these standards. I think you must have seen because it was widely publicized. We are extremely active on the continent through our continental specialized agency called AFCAC, African Civil Aviation Commission. We've been vice chairs of that AFCAC. Right now, I am the chair of the safety group of the whole continent, right now. Going back to the global aviation system, the DG, myself, I'm on the EXCO of Global Council. Council is Civil Aviation Air Navigation Service Organization. The global one. So we are very visible, and our members are almost on all committees of these institutions. And what do we gain from there? Our issues are also included while making new guidelines, new standards, and any new recommended practices that we have here. We are extremely active, and our visibility springs from our performance in those audit areas, because that's how you get to know. Even our operators like Uganda Airlines are benefiting from that, because whenever we agree to sign a bilateral air service agreement, people don't oppose it, because they know our safety record. They know that's why it, in many countries actually have been denied entry in two places like UK. I don't know whether you know that. Others who had been there have actually been stopped. So it is important that those parameters are seen as confidence building in our aviation system. And I want to rally Ugandan behind this new initiative for them to be able to be confident in their own aviation system, their own airline like Uganda Airlines, and use it. Because really we depend on passengers of these airlines, especially our own national airline.
Okay, PS, projects are being done. How are communities really involved in planning and maintaining these infrastructure projects?
Well, when we are starting a new project, we have to first assess its viability and its benefit to the community. So we do a pre-feasibility study, we do a feasibility study, we do SCR, and then we also assess the internal rate of return for the project, so that we know people are consulted.
The environmental impact.
And we also assess the environment effect, so that we don't do a project which will increase pollution, contribute to climate change, adverse effects of climate change. And when we are doing the implementation part of it, we want to ensure that the local communities benefit. First of all, if it is for labor, we give preference to the children around, the people around of the community. Then if it is demand for services, food, drinks, this is where mainly ladies benefit, because they are good at such activities of selling to the workers. And then the final outcome of the project, it must benefit the people. When we started the airport in Kavale, that construction, most of the labor was drawn within there, within Kavale. We did not bring people from afar. And when it comes to local materials, we use those local materials which are very locally available and are suitable for the project. So people's income improve. And of course, we have areas of safety. When we are doing such projects, we make sure that the safety measures are fully put in place, so that people don't get involved in accidents. But of course, there's also the negative element with these. Some communities, I not to say all communities, where you find some people want to fail a project, some people want to over-demand issues of compensation. You compensate somebody today, next year he comes, you know, you gave me little money. I want some more money. Then, of course, we have a very bad device, which I ask the community to help us fight. The theft of road furniture, infrastructure furniture. That one, the road signs which we put. Somebody picks a sign, a road sign, just to go and make a candle, turn over. But it doesn't know what damage it to do to safety on that road. That signpost has something to show, to avoid the people getting involved in accidents, to avoid endangering people's lives. So those are some of the negative things which we have in the community.
All right, Rahim, let's talk about affordability. You did mention about it briefly, but since we are talking about communities, affordability of the use of the airline. We do have water, road transport, railway. These are modes of transport that really Ugandans really use. Talking about Uganda Airlines, how affordable is it? Are you targeting a certain class of people who are supposed to use this airline really? Because we are looking at something that can be used by most of the Ugandans.
When you look at our typical traveler, when we usually open
Let's borrow that word of omuntu wawansi.
Yes.
It's also important.
Yes. When we are trying to profile or open a route, we profile the kind of traveler that will be traveling or going to that destination. And when we look at, for example, there are those trade routes, Dubai, now Mumbai. So when you look at affordability, what we do is to stimulate demand. And when you stimulate demand by deploying more seats on that route, or let's say flooding seats or positioning. For example, you can increase frequency. You can position a bigger aircraft on that route to be able to stimulate that kind of demand, so that when people go in to book, they are seeing many seats available to them to book, or many days. For example, I can travel. For example, London now, we have 4 times weekly. Johannesburg, we have daily travel. Dar es Salaam, the same thing. Nairobi, we have 3 times in a day. So you have more seats available to you. And that means that when we stimulate demand, we are also distributing our fixed costs. In terms, we are making travel affordable. The fares are going down.
Let's talk about inland travels. I don't know whether this should be to you or the DG, but you will guide anyway. We have people who might really want to move from here to Gulu, for example.
Yes.
What is the process like? How much could it cost? That is the point. You get it? So the inland travels, going outside countries might be a little tricky. But now the inland travels, we have Ugandans who are in position actually to cater for themselves in one way or the other. So I want to move from here to Nebi, but I don't want to go by road. I want to use the air. How much can it cost? How best can Ugandans really run for this as well, those who are in position to do that?
We'll have to stimulate that demand. And for now, the demand is there because people are tired of driving for long hours. And with the feasibility study, it will be able to provide, for example, the demand, and also give us a base of what to charge on which route. But right now in the market, I saw travel going up to $320, two-way or return ticket. There was one that was going for $250 in the market for other domestic carriers. Yes, but we are thinking that when we come in, that price should be able to go down because we'll be flooding the seats in that direction, also bringing the fares down. Yes, for example, if I position a CRJ on Gulu or Arua, and some of them are international travelers, Some of them are maybe in country. And then also I have cargo in the belly. It will really make business sense for the airline, but also be able to support cut journey times for nationals.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Let me take this time to go through some of these questions.
Yes.
To fully tap all direct and indirect benefits. Okay. My questions to DG and PS, how can this be reversed? Uganda is losing out on tourism, especially to the Western, specifically on gorilla tracking. How due to lack of robust domestic flights? Now tourists have resorted to landing in Kigali, drive to Chisoro for gorilla tracking in Uganda. Yes. It's shorter to drive from Kigali to Chisoro than from Entebbe to Chisoro. This leads to loss of business like hotels, car rentals, etc. DG, you can take this on?
Yes, I can. Of course, that is very true. The infrastructure, supportive infrastructure for the gorilla tracking and many other national parks actually is still lacking. And that's why I said that, yes, we actually been working on up-country aerodromes like Chisoro. But of course, Chisoro cannot be Kigali, cannot be the same size as Kigali. So we are trying to work on two other possible airports. One, there is one in the mountains in Kigezi, Nyamiringa, and another one in Kanungu. We are, with the ministry, we are trying to work out the feasibility study to see which one can really possibly be a big international airport for purposes of those facilities, tourism facilities. By the way, we were just talking about the gorillas. People even come to see the terrain, the terrain in those areas. And you know, Western Uganda, for instance, starts from Rwenzori up to Mugahinga, those areas of Chisoro. And people want to come, and not only for gorillas, but also look at the other physical features in the same area. So we are trying really to work out on the feasibility for a bigger airport. Again, in readiness for when Uganda Airlines starts the internal flights. Because Chisoro, as of now, is a bit limited for expansion because of the terrain and its location. We've been trying very hard to see how we can make it an international airport big, but the heights and the landing problems are still really immense, and we are working very, very seriously looking at it, trying to see what we can get either as an alternative or do with Chisoro, with making many adjustments which may become very, very costly. The feasibility will tell us.
Odera Silva from Mbale City, what plans do you have as far as constructing an airport in Mbale City is concerned?
Actually, the airport for Mbale City was supposed to be that one in Tororo. And Soroti, you can see between Mbale and Soroti, and then between Mbale and Tororo, even originally, it was planned. But if we see feasibility for the city itself, and it can really recoup the investment, the returns on the investment, we still can give it a shot. But the plans as of now, Mbale is sandwiched between the two facilities of Soroti and Tororo. But we can look at that feasibility still.
One last one, DG. Last week, this is Bwire. Last week I traveled with Air Uganda to Nairobi. All pilots and even those, the waitresses within, are they called waitresses?
Crew.
Yeah, the crew, okay, were whites. Are Ugandans not able to do this? Has the airline services been subcontracted? Otherwise, thanks for improving the look of the airport. Please take that on as we wrap up.
Yes, I would like to thank Bwire for that question. So the airline, to be able to protect the operation, it went into leasing an aircraft. We call it an ACMI. This aircraft, we lease it from a company that provides an aircraft, its crew, it is insured by them, and also maintenance is on that company or the lessor. But then when they fly into here, they are mandated to undertake all those services, but also assimilate our culture, also our service standards. But that aircraft is leased to be able to protect our operation, and it's called a wait lease. So that wait lease is only for 6 months, and then it will go, and then it's just there to interimly to protect the operation.
Kindly also talk about the passengers expressing frustration over flight disruptions in the recent months. Yes. What could have been the cause?
When you look at, like I earlier said in my introduction, I talked about our fleet challenges. And also that leads us to the opportunities in the future. So our fleet, we have a fleet of 6. Then with that wait lease is the 7th aircraft. But when you look at now the operation, sometimes when we have a technical or, for example, a scheduled maintenance of an aircraft, it paralyzes the whole network. For example, when you pull out 1 Sierra J or 2 Sierra J or 1 Airbus, the whole network will be paralyzed. So with that, we'll have to cancel flights, we'll have to delay flights and cause inconvenience. Okay. And for that, we are always saying we are sorry. But as we move into our 10-year strategy, we hope to enter into dry leases, get more aircraft on board in terms of dry leases, but as we plan to take delivery of our own aircraft, additional aircraft to be added on to the fleets that we have.
All right, yes. DG, let me get to you as you wrap up, then the PS will close. Many questions are still coming in, but maybe to use 2 or 3 minutes, please. Civil Aviation has land in Kweni district. What plans do they have in developing it? Because it used to be an airfield. That is one. Okay, a minute. Moses Kerry from Toro district. I heard they're talking about widening visibility for internal flight. How can they brag even yet you've not yet finished something in Tororo? I don't know if that is really the case. I want to thank Uganda Airlines for the new London service. They also considering other routes in Europe. This is Jen. Okay, good evening. Thanks for the program. The concern is about the infrastructure of Kapkwai Exploration Center. This is Musau Eddy from Kapchora. Okay. Last one there in Lebu Priscilla from Ajumani. What plans does the government have towards the civil servants insurance? Questions are many, DG. I know you may not have captured those, but those you can really tackle.
There is one in Queen.
Yes.
You see, civil aviation, being a regulator and an operator of some airports, does not own all airports. Obviously, there are those that are owned by local administrations. There are those which are for police, but we regulate them. But where we find a facility that is not being used, we take charge of it and draw attention to the people who are supposed to be operating it in a regulatory way, and we give them that kind of service. There is one, so we are not bragging, actually. We are just, it's only that we cannot develop all aerodromes in the whole country at once. There is also a question of affordability. At once. So, but we work on one, complete it, go to another one, like that. That's what we do. It's not that we have abandoned any. And once we finish these ones of Jinja, of Arua, then we shall come to Tororos and Mbarara and other aerodromes in the country.
Your last remarks, DG. I know you have a lot in your docket, but you can summarize in a minute as we wrap up.
Yes, so I want to thank, of course, Ugandans for really supporting the aviation industry. And this is the industry, your industry, both in terms of the facilities we build, we make, are actually being supported by Ugandans because they are the users of these facilities. But I want also to mention here, because I should not leave this stage without telling you that we are trying to work out an orderly separation between civil aviation regulation and airport operations. Orderly, I want to emphasize orderly, so that we make sure that we make entities that will be sustained with the current funding that is available and the human resource capacity that is available. And we are working on that with our mother ministry, PS, my PS is here, to make sure that we give Ugandans an efficient service in operations, airport operations, but also an efficient service in the regulatory spectrum of the Civil Aviation Authority. And we are working on it. We expect to take something like 1.5 years or 2 years and complete it, and have two very, very able, sustainable entities that can work out on the aviation and work out their mandates for the future, for now and the future.
Okay.
Otherwise, I want to thank Ugandans for listening and viewing.
All right, PS, please, it is your turn. We've talked about a number of issues, but of putting our focus on Uganda Airlines, civil aviation. But I do understand you as a ministry, you're cooking a lot for Ugandans. The fact that we're actually starting a new term soon, PS, as we wrap up.
Thank you very much. I would like to first of all thank the government for the resources which you are receiving. They are not adequate, but they are really endeavored to find us resources for all this infrastructure. Recently, when we went to cabinet and they told them a problem that the budget had been over time cut over the previous 3 financial years, His Excellency the President directed the finance to reinstate our budget ceiling to the old amounts. So that one will give us a lot of locus to operate. When we had issues with the road infrastructure, government found us a supplementary as the year was closing, and now they are finding us another supplementary to be able to pay the contractors so that they can resume work where they have suspended, to be able to do some essential roads, about 7 of them, which have been picked by government as a priority. We also, of course, have infrastructure which is in bad shape, like Mitiana, Mubende. We have told the contractor to resume work. For Mubende, Chegegwa, we are doing remedial work by force account as we process the tender for reconstruction. I would like to also inform the viewers that the government is moving to rationalize the modes of transport. This was said by the President himself, that is rationalizing now. It is time to rationalize the modes of transport. We want to see that cargo leaves the roads. Cargo should be able to move on railway or water. As I said, we are doing the meter gauge railway, we are repairing it, and we are in January starting real construction of the standard gauge railway. We are undertaking preliminary activities. So with the water, that is another way of transporting cargo. We are working on the Portibel and the Ginger pairs so that their capacity is improved. But for the future, for the next 5 or so years, we need to have a port of bigger capacity. We are constructing a big port on the lake shores of Vukasa, at Vukasa. We are winding up with phase 1, which has been preparatory work, so that now the next phase we do actual construction. Why we are doing that is that we fear to be a choke point on the corridor, both the central and northern corridor. Mwanza, Tanzania has done a lot to expand that port, and so is Kenya with Kisumu. And the Mwanza, Tanzania is bringing the standard gauge railway up to Mwanza, and Kenya also wants to bring the standard gauge railway to Kisumu. So we expect a lot of cargo on both sides. If we have no capacity on this side, we shall be like a choke point, which we wouldn't like to be the situation. So we are trying to also do flagship projects like Kabale International Airport. As I talk now, we are at 94% And all that has been because of the funding arrangements which government has extended to us, and it continues doing so. So we are very grateful.
Thank you so much, Permanent Secretary from the Ministry of Works and Transport, Mr. Bagaya Waiswa, for sparing time. It was an honor really to have you on the show. Thank you so much, Ms. Rahim Shakila Lama, Head Corporate Affairs, Uganda Airlines, right? Thank you so much for sparing time. And thank you so much, Director General, Uganda Civil Aviation Authority, Mr. Fred Bamwesije. Ladies and gentlemen, mobility and dignity really go hand in hand. And I do understand that when really infrastructure is worked on, Ugandans will really thrive when it comes to the businesses and the nature of work that they do. It is very important. You've heard it from the top guns themselves, what government is really preparing for us to ensure that we have better infrastructure. Thank you so much for being part of the show. For those who have been listening in on our 11 radio stations, thank you so much. Till next Monday, I am Jethro Kasaiji. Ciao.
Oh, Uganda.